Hello all, welcome to Paritranaya. In this class, we shall resume back with the discussion of emergency provisions which are present in the Constitution. So in the previous class, we discussed about the different types of emergencies, that is national emergency, president's rule, financial emergency. We also saw how national emergency can be declared, who can declare it, and what kind of approval is required from Lok Sabha and Raj Sabha, that is special majority or simple majority. And we also saw how we revoke the national emergency, that is who has the power to revoke national emergency, president, as well as how Lok Sabha can force president to revoke national emergency. Now in this class, we shall discuss about the effects of national emergency. So the consequences of national emergency. First, we'll study the effect of national emergency on center-state relations. We have already seen how the center and state, they share the relations. So when we discuss about the relations, we shall discuss with respect to executive, legislative, and later on financial. Now when it comes to legislative relations and executive relations, we have already seen that as per the 7th schedule of the Constitution, it consists of 3 lists. So first list we call it as union list, next second list we call it as state list, and the third list we call it as concurrent list. So here it is list 1, this is list 2, and a list 3. We have also seen the subjects which fall under union list, the subjects which fall under state list, and also the subjects which fall under concurrent list. So for our discussion, we shall take just one example. So let us assume currency. So currency is a subject which falls under union list. Next, health is a subject which falls under state list, and education is a subject which falls under concurrent list. Now normal times and emergency time. So what is the difference? We shall see. So first we shall start with legislative relation. Okay, we shall discuss with legislative relation. So what happens with respect to legislature? So during normal times, who can make law on a subject called as currency? So when it comes to law during normal time, law or legislate. During normal time, who can do it? During normal time, center can make a law on a subject called as currency, because currency is present in union list. Similarly, state can make a law on a subject called as health. Next, both center as well as states can make law on a subject called as education. And in case of inconsistency between the center and center's law will prevail. So this is what we have seen, and this happens during normal time. So what happens during emergency? During emergency, very important. So center can also make laws on health. During normal time, center cannot make a law on a subject called as health, because health is a state subject. But during emergency, as the center becomes all the powerful, so center can make law on a subject called as health. So center can make a law on state subject. So how about the state? Whether state can make a law on the state subject? Yes. So on a state subject, center can also make law, state can also make law. So the subjects which are present in the state list, they will act more or less like a subjects present in the concurrent list, because both center as well as state can make laws. Now during normal times, so the laws made by center on union list, so what will be its lifetime, or what will be its longevity? It is eternal. It is forever. Until and unless you do not revoke it, a law is eternal. Similarly, a law made by state on a subject called as health, so it will remain eternal. That is forever until you revoke it. Now the question is, the law which has been made by the center on the subject called as health during emergency, so how long it will stay? So whether it is forever or it is for temporary period. So very important to remember here, the law made by the center on a state subject is not forever. It is for a temporary period. So what is that temporary period? So that is 6 months after the ceasing of emergency. 6 months after the ceasing of emergency. So I'll take an example. So on January 1, 2023, let us assume President has declared emergency. So let us assume on January 2, Lok Sabha approves it with special majority. On January 3, Rajya Sabha also approves it with special majority. So once Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha approve it, then this emergency will continue for 6 months, as we have seen in the previous class. So 6 months means June 30. So the emergency will continue till June 30, 2023. Now, in this period of 6 months, what happens? Center can make law on state subject, that is health. Now let us assume in this period, center has made a law on a subject called as health. So let me call that law as Law 1, okay, or Health Law, I call it as Health Act, okay, I call it as Health Act. So this Health Act will remain in force for how many days? So this Health Act, let us assume it has been brought in the month of, March. Let us assume it has been brought in the month of March. So how long it will remain in force? This law will remain in force from the last date of emergency, that is June 30, 2023 plus 6 months. 6 months. So July, August, September, October, November, December. So on December 31, automatically this law ceases to exist. This law starts operating. Okay, starts operating. Suppose if state had made a law on a subject called as health, then it would have remained forever. But here center has made a law on subject called as health, which is a state subject, and it has made a law during emergency. That is why this law is not permanent. This law will cease to exist 6 months after the emergency has ceased. So emergency has ceased to exist on June 30. So from that day onwards, we'll calculate 6 months. So on December 31, this law ceases to operate. So this is a type of legislative relationship between the center and the state during emergency. So Parliament is empowered to make laws on any subject. So as we saw, Parliament made a law on subject called as health. Next, state legislature not suspended. It means when this health is a state subject, so during emergency, when Parliament is making law, state legislature can also make law. Okay, for example, let us assume as Karnataka, let us consider Karnataka as an example. So Karnataka state legislature, that is Karnataka MLAs, can also make a law on health subject. Okay, on health subject. But in case of inconsistency between the law made by Parliament and the Karnataka state legislature, so which one will prevail? Parliamentary law will prevail. Okay. Next, overriding power of Parliament. That is what, in case of inconsistency between the law made by Parliament and the state law, parliamentary law will prevail. Next, that is what we discussed. So parliamentary law on state subject inoperative after 6 months. So once the emergency ceases, from that day onwards, it will remain operative for only 6 months. Next, we also seen about ordinance. Okay, when we discussed about a topic called as president, so president has the power to issue ordinance. So we have discussed that president can issue ordinance on union list subjects and concurrent list subjects. But here during emergency, national emergency, president can issue ordinance on even state subjects as well. It means he can issue an ordinance on a subject called as health, but provided that the parliament should not be in session. Only when parliament is in recess at that time, president can issue ordinance. Otherwise, he cannot issue ordinance. Okay. He cannot issue ordinance. So this was about the legislative relation. Okay, legislative relation. Next, executive. So what is executive? So when I say executive, central executive, council of ministers plus prime minister. So when I said central executive, you have to imagine Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister. When I say state executive, you should imagine Council of Ministers plus Chief Minister. Plus Chief Minister. Okay, Chief Minister. So this is state executive. State executive. So in this context, when I say executive, Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister, Council of Ministers headed by Chief Minister. So during normal time, so can center give directions to the state? Yes. So let us assume there are around some 5 subjects. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Subject 1, subject 2, subject 3, subject 4, subject 5. Okay. There are different issues or different issues. So during normal time, let us assume center can issue directions to states only on few subjects, only on few issues. Let us assume on subject 1 and subject 3. This is normal time. This is normal time. But during emergency, center can issue directions to states on all the matters. On all the matters. So now Council of Ministers headed by Chief Minister, they cannot act according to their wish. Okay. So they have to act as per the directions given by the center. As per the directions given by the center. Next, very important, state governments not suspended. So in President's rule, we will be discussing that state governments will be suspended. State government suspending means here Council of Ministers headed by Chief Minister, they will lose their position. CM will lose the position of CM, ministers will lose the position of ministers and all. But here during national emergency, there is no suspension of state government. State government exists. It means Council of Ministers headed by Chief Minister at the state level, they exist, but they cannot act independently. Rather, they have to act as per the directions given by the central government. Okay, central government. Okay, so here in normal times, only directions in few matters, whereas in emergency time, so center can give directions to state on any matter. So here we discussed about the legislative and executive relations during emergency. Okay, Next, Parliament can confer powers and impose duties on center or its offices on matters outside union list. So carry out laws made under extended jurisdiction. So when it comes to executive power, we have seen under state list, let us consider health as a subject. Okay, health as a subject. So who has the power to implement health related aspects? So state can do it. Okay, state can do it. State will do it. But during emergency, Parliament can say that, so a state authority or state agency will do it normally. Normally, state agency will implement the health related provisions. But during national emergency, Parliament can declare that a central agency will implement it. So who can do it? Only Parliament can do it. So normally state agency will implement health related things, but during emergency, Parliament can say that state related agency will not implement it, but central related agency will implement it. Okay, implement it. So this is also important. What is it? So 42nd amendment says that the above two provisions, that is legislative and executive, extends to states where emergency not in operation. So we have already seen that when it comes to national emergency, so whether it applies to whole of India or it can be applied partially to some part of India. So we have seen that either it applies to whole India, or it can also be made to apply to some part of India. So let us assume President has declared an emergency which applies to some part of India. Let us assume southern part of India. So when it applies to southern part of India, how about the executive and legislative relationship between center and this part? So with respect to this, the region where the emergency has been applied or emergency has been declared, obviously there will be a change in executive and legislative relationship between center and states. But how about the other states? So as per the 42nd amendment, it says that So the legislative and executive relationship, whatever the changes happen, it can also happen to other states as well. It is not necessary that these changes have to happen only in the states where emergency is in operation, but this distribution of power, there will be change in it with respect to other states as well, as per the 42nd amendment. 42nd amendment. Next, financial relationship. Financial relationship. So here we'll come across terms called as constitutional distribution. Okay, end of financial year. End of financial year. Now we have already seen from center or central government, fund is transferred to states. So I will take, let us assume Karnataka state. Karnataka state. I'll take one more example. I'll take Tamil Nadu as a state. So in the previous class, while discussion, we discussed that based on the recommendations of Finance Commission, whatever the taxes or revenues the center will get, it will share that revenue with the states. So now let us assume center has received 1 lakh rupees in the form of revenue. So as per the recommendations of Finance Commission, recent Finance Commission, it says that 41% of the revenue has to be shared with the states. It means in this 1 lakh, 41,000 rupees have to be shared with states. And within 41,000, some amount will go to Karnataka, some amount will go to Tamil Nadu, similarly to all the 28 states. So let us assume that every month, so what in 1 lakh revenue which the center will be receiving, it will be sharing 41,000 rupees with the states every month. Okay, every month. So let us assume the share of Karnataka is 5,000. Every month the share of Karnataka is 5,000. So it means in the month of January, Karnataka will get 5,000 from center. Next, in the month of February, again Karnataka will get, let us assume 5,000. So every month Karnataka will get 5,000. Okay, will get 5,000. Now this is a normal distribution or constitutional distribution of revenues. That is, from center every month 5,000 rupees has to go to Karnataka state. Similarly, some 3,000 should go to Tamil Nadu state. But for time being, we shall ignore it. Okay, but during financial emergency, what president can do? President can modify the constitutional distribution. So what president can say? Every month you are sending 5,000, but as there is a national emergency, I want to reduce the amount. So what president will do? Rather than sending 5,000, he will say, we'll just send 2,000. So it means, let us assume on March 1, president declares that let us reduce the amount. So it means in the month of March, how much amount will be given to state of Karnataka? 2,000 rupees will be given. Okay. So in the previous 2 months it was 5,000, but in the month of March 2,000 rupees was given. Okay, 2,000 rupees was given. So president has this power to modify the constitutional distribution of revenues at the time of national emergency. Okay, emergency. So how long will these modifications continue? So till the end of financial year in which emergency ceases. Now let us assume emergency which has been declared on January 1, 2023. January 1, 2023, emergency has been declared. Let us assume emergency ceases on March 15. March 15, 2023. Okay. So what is our financial year? April 1, 2022 to March 31, 2023. So this is one financial year. Another financial year is April 1, 2023 to March 31, 2024. So now we have taken a scenario wherein on January 1 we have declared emergency, but let us assume because of some reasons, so emergency ceases to operate on March 15, 2023. So in the month of March we are transferring just 2,000. Okay, we are just transferring 2,000. So what happens in the month of April? How much we will be transferring from center to state? Whether it will be 2,000 or it will be 5,000. So here on March 15, 2023, when the emergency ceases, when will the financial year end? The financial year will end on March 31. On March 31. So whatever the modifications we had done, that will remain only till March 31, 2023. Okay, March 31, 2023. So in the month of April, what happens? How much amount we will be transferring? We will be transferring 5,000, because previously we used to transfer 5,000. Okay, so this is one scenario. Another scenario, this is first case. Second case, what I will take. So emergency will cease in the month of September. Let us assume September 15, 2023. Okay, so let us assume in the month of on September 15, 2023, national emergency ceases to operate. So it means for February 5,000, for March 2,000, for April also 2,000, next May 2,000, next June 2,000, July 2,000, August 2,000, September also rupees 2,000. Okay, so we'll be transferring 2,000 rupees to state. Now next my question is, what happens in the month of October? Whether we'll be transferring 2,000 rupees or 5,000, because emergency ends in September. So very important point to note here is, in October also, how much will be paid to Karnataka? 2,000. In November also, Karnataka will be paid 2,000 rupees. Why? Because the emergency has ceased on which date? September 15. But when will the financial year end? The financial year will end on March 31, 2024. It means from center to state, every month we will be transferring 2,000 rupees until March 2024. So starting from April 2024, center will start sharing what? 5,000 rupees with the state. Okay, with the state. So this is about the financial relationship. Okay, so financial relationship and how it is disturbed during national emergency. Next, effect of life of Lok Sabha and State Assembly. So we know what is the normal life of Lok Sabha. So life of Lok Sabha is 5 years, and the same extends to Legislative Assembly as well. So if no problem happens, then the life of Lok Sabha is normally 5 years. So let us assume on January 1, 2021, a new Lok Sabha has been formed. All the elected members have come and new Lok Sabha has been formed. Okay. So this new Lok Sabha will last till what time? So 5 years means till December 31, 2025. So before December 31, 2025, let us assume in the month of December 2025, election will take place. And a new Lok Sabha will come on January 1, 2026. That is new Lok Sabha. This is normally. Okay, normally it happens like this. Now let us assume in the month of December 2025. On December 1, President has declared emergency. National emergency. So during emergency, we cannot conduct elections. It is very difficult to conduct elections. So we want to postpone the elections. But if you postpone the election, then what happens? After December 31, 2025, there will be no Lok Sabha. Okay, so there will be no Lok Sabha, but we want Lok Sabha. So here there is a provision. Whenever there is a national emergency, so ordinarily the Lok Sabha lasts for 5 years, but its tenure can be extended by 1 year. The life of Lok Sabha can be extended by 1 year during emergency. Okay, during emergency. But who has this power? So Parliament has the power to extend the life of Lok Sabha. So for 1 year extension, who has the power? Parliament. Okay, Parliament. So Parliament means Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. They will pass a law. A law will be passed by Lok Sabha, and similarly the same law has to be passed by Rajya Sabha. So in that law, what will be mentioned? It will be mentioned that the life of Lok Sabha is being extended. If this happens, if Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha pass a law, then the life of Lok Sabha will be extended by 1 year. Now let us assume on December 1, President has declared emergency. So let us assume on December 15, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, they will pass a law and extend the life of Lok Sabha. Now the Lok Sabha, which was supposed to end on December 31, 2025, it will end on December 31, 2026. See here. The Lok Sabha, which was supposed to end on December 31, 2025, now it will end on December 31, or it will be dissolved on December 31, 2026. Why? Because its life was extended by 1 year. Who extended it? Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha by passing a bill. Okay, by passing a bill. Now, another important point to remember here is, now let us assume on December 1 we have declared emergency. Because of some reasons, let us assume on February 1, this is December 2023, let us assume in February 2024, February 1, 2024, so emergency ceases to operate. So let us assume on February 1, emergency is revoked by President. Because of some reasons, President has revoked it. Now, in this case, whether the life of Lok Sabha will extend till December 31, 2026? No. Very important. See here, beyond 6 months, no continuation if national emergency ceases. It means if national emergency ceases, when it stops operating, then from that day onwards, the life of Lok Sabha cannot extend beyond 6 months. It means from February 1, if you calculate 6 months, February, March, April, May, June, July. It means in this case, on July 31, 2024. So within July 31, 2024, we have to conduct the Lok Sabha election. Okay, Lok Sabha election. Now, instead of February 1, 2024, let us assume if emergency ceases in October, if emergency ceases in October 30, 2020, sorry, I took a wrong example here. It should not be 24, it should be 26. It should be 26. Here, make it as 26. Okay, 26. On February 1, 2026, if emergency ceases, so here also please make the changes here. So it should be 25. It should be 25 here. So here it should be 2025. Okay, 25. Okay. So what we understood, beyond 6 months, if emergency ceases to operate, then Lok Sabha cannot continue for more than 6 months from the day when the emergency has ceased to operate. Okay, and similarly, the same extends to state legislative assemblies as well. So whatever is true for Lok Sabha, the same is true for state assemblies as well. Okay, important point to remember here is, in order to extend the life of state legislative assemblies do not have the permission. Here also, whose permission is required? Parliamentary permission, or parliamentary law is required. Next, very important, effect on fundamental rights. So we completed with the discussion of what effect of national emergency on center-state relations with respect to executive, legislative, financial. Okay, and also we saw how we can extend the life of Lok Sabha as well as state legislative assemblies. Next, we shall have a discussion on fundamental rights or effect on fundamental rights. So we have already discussed about the topic called as fundamental rights. So article number 12 to 35. Okay, article number 13, article number 19, article number 20, article number 21, article number 22, and so on, article number 35. So from article number 12 to article number 35, so we have fundamental rights. So these fundamental rights, we have discussed that they are enforceable. So enforceable means whenever a fundamental right is violated, you can go to court. For example, Okay, so there are many articles. So already we have discussed those articles. We will not be going into the detail of each of these articles. Just we shall take an example. Now, article number 19. Article number 19 says that freedom of speech and expression. Freedom of speech and expression. Okay. So freedom of expression means one has the freedom to express whatever he feels. Now, when can this article number 19 get violated? I'll take an example. So let us assume press reporter. So he will write an article. He will write an article in a newspaper. So which is critical of the government. Okay, which criticizes the government. So what the government will do? So government will arrest the person A. Let us assume the name of the reporter is A. So when A writes an article which is critical of the government, so A will be arrested. Let us assume. So when A is arrested, what A can do? Now A's fundamental right has been violated. Why his fundamental right has been violated? Because article number 19 says that freedom of speech and expression. So when he wrote an article, it is under what? His freedom of speech and expression. But he was arrested. So what A can do? A can either go to Supreme Court or he can go to High Court, saying that my fundamental right has been violated. In that case, Supreme Court or High Court, it will give justice to A. Okay, how? By releasing him and by by imposing some penalty on the government. So this is how fundamental rights are enforceable and how they are upheld by the Supreme Court and High Court. So whenever a fundamental right is violated, so for our rescue will come Supreme Court and High Court. So in normal times, when any of these fundamental rights are violated, then a person can go to either Supreme Court or High Court. So these things we already discussed in the previous class. But during national emergency, some of these fundamental rights will be suspended. Okay, some of these fundamental rights will be suspended, and about that we shall have a discussion. So when it comes to suspension of article number 19, okay, so article number 358 of the Constitution deals with the suspension of article number 19 during emergency. Similarly, article number 359 of the Constitution deals with the suspension of all other fundamental rights. Apart from 19, we have many other fundamental rights from 12 to 35. So it deals with the suspension of all other fundamental rights except 2. So article number 20 and 21. So fundamental rights which are guaranteed under article number 20 and 21, they cannot be suspended during national emergency. Okay, So among them, important one is 21. So which indicates right to life and liberty. Okay, liberty. So now we shall start discussion about article number 19, suspension. Article number 19, suspension. So article number 19 is automatically suspended, no separate order. So what does it indicate? Now let us assume on January 1, 2023, President declares emergency. So on that day itself, from January 1, on January 1 itself, automatically article number 19 is suspended. Article number 19 is suspended. So what does it mean suspended? It means state can make law or take executive action abridging these rights. So when I say state here, so you should imagine it as central government. Okay, central government. So during emergency, when article number 19 gets automatically suspended, so let us assume, so from January 1, let us assume it lasts for 6 months till June 30, 2023. So in the meantime, we assume that Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha has approved the emergency. So article number 19 will remain suspended from January 1 to June 30, 2023. In this period, intermediate period, let us assume in the month of March. So Parliament, what it will do? It will make a law. Parliament will make a law. Okay, law which violates article number 19. Okay, so during normal time, Parliament cannot make a law which violates fundamental rights, because such a law can be challenged in the court. Okay, such a law can be challenged in the court, and we call it as also judicial review. But here, Now, during emergency, Parliament has passed a law which violates Article number 19. Which violates Article number 19. So, state can make law or take executive action. So, this is an example of making a law, okay, that abridges these rights. It means that takes away the fundamental right guaranteed under Article number 19. So, take executive action means, as I mentioned, if a news reporter is arrested because of the critical article, then that falls under executive action. So, it means when national emergency is in operation, Article number 19 automatically gets suspended. So, at that time, so central government can make law or it can take any executive action which violates the fundamental rights guaranteed under Article number 19. Okay, 19. So, no challenge of such law inconsistent with fundamental rights. So, what does it mean? So, in normal time, whenever a law has been made which violates the fundamental rights, especially Article number 19, it can be challenged. It can be challenged in Supreme Court or High Court. Okay, during normal time. But during emergency time, this law, it cannot be challenged in Supreme Court. So, Supreme Court or High Court will not entertain a petition which challenges the law violating or in being inconsistent with the fundamental rights during emergency. So, when does Article number 19 automatically revive? So, when national emergency ceases, that is on June 30, 2023, automatically Article number 19 will get back its life. It means in this period we could not go to court, but on after June 30, 2023, whenever your Article number 19 is violated, you can go to court. Okay, you can go to court. Next, whatever the laws that we have made, whatever the law the Parliament has made, so to the extent of inconsistency ceases. It means this law, it will not completely get stopped from operating, but only to the extent of inconsistency it will stop operating. Okay, it will stop operating. So completely it will not become void. Next, no remedy even after ceasing. What does it mean? So national emergency began on January 1 and ended on June 30. So in between you cannot go to court for the violation of Article number 19. But after June 30, on July 1, can you go to court? Can you go to court for any of the violations that have taken place in this period? No, you cannot go to the court for any of the violations that have taken place in this period. Okay, you are very important. So no remedy even after emergency has ceased. Okay, even after emergency has ceased. Next, 44th Amendment. What it says? Only during external emergency. Very important. So we have classified the national emergency into two types. One is external emergency, another one is internal emergency. So external emergency is when the emergency is declared on the grounds of war or external aggression. Whereas internal emergency, this is armed rebellion. So already we have seen in the previous class. So when we say external emergency, it means we are fighting with the enemies. But when we say internal emergency, it means our own people are fighting against our own government. So in such scenario, in internal emergency, Article number 19 will not be suspended. Only during external emergency, only during the emergency wherein we are fighting with the others, our enemies, then what? Article number 19 will be suspended. Okay, will be suspended. Also, executive actions under such laws are protected. Next, only laws related to emergency are protected from being challenged. So just ignore it. Next, other fundamental rights. So now we discussed about the suspension of Article number 19, but there are other fundamental rights as well, right? So Article number 12 to 35. Okay, 12 to 35, except Article number 19. Article number 19. So can we suspend these fundamental rights? Yes, we can suspend these fundamental rights, but except 20 and 21. Article number 20 and 21, we can suspend these fundamental rights as well. But whether the suspension of these fundamental rights is automatic? No. As per the Article number 359, President is authorized to suspend the right to move any court. So when it comes to Article number 19, suspension is automatic. But when it comes to other articles, President has to mention. So for example, President will mention. So President's order will consist of articles. So it says that Article number 14 is suspended. Article number 16 is suspended. Article number 24 is suspended. So it means only article number 14, 16 and 24 will be suspended, whereas all the other articles 14, 15, 17, they'll continue to remain operative. They'll continue to remain operative. Okay. Next, rights are alive, but right to seek a remedy suspended. It means when these are suspended, it does not mean that these rights does not exist. They do exist, but a person cannot go to court for the enforcement of these rights. Okay. Next, suspension of those mentioned here. So whatever has been mentioned in the presidential order, only those rights will be suspended. Next, period of suspension mentioned in the order, entire period or short. So when we discussed about the suspension of article number 19, so automatically it gets suspended on the day we declare emergency, and automatically it revives on the day the emergency ceases to operate. But when it comes to suspension of other articles, so as I mentioned, President will explicitly say that the following articles are suspended, which are the 14, 16, 17. Apart from that, he will also mention that it will suspend for full period or for just 15 days. He will specify. If he specifies full period, then these articles will be suspended for the entire duration of the emergency. If he specifies some days, then it will be suspended only for few days. Apart from that, he will also mention whether it extends to whole or part of country. So in case of suspension of article number 19, so it applies to the whole country. Whereas in case of suspension of other articles, President can mention that it applies to only few states. For example, like Karnataka, Punjab, etc. Okay. It is not necessary that the suspension of other articles should extend to the whole country. So he can make it confined to some part of the country. Whenever President wants to suspend other articles, he has to get the Parliament approval. Next, as we saw with respect to the suspension of article number 19, similarly, when these articles are suspended, so state means central government can make laws abridging the specified fundamental rights. It means we can make a law which violates the fundamental rights which have been mentioned here. Next, same, no such challenge to such law. So whatever the law the central government has made, such law cannot be challenged in the court of law, whether it is Supreme Court or High Court. Next, no remedy during operation or after. So similar to the suspension of article number 19. So either during emergency or after the emergency, you cannot go to the court and say that, so during the emergency period, my fundamental rights were violated. So no remedy. Okay, no remedy. Next, as per the 44th amendment, we already seen he can suspend all the articles except article number 20 and 21. Okay, 20 and 21. Next, laws related with emergency are protected, others can be challenged. So this is an important point to note. So January 1, 2023 to June 30, 2023. So this is the emergency duration. So during this emergency duration, I will make a law which violates fundamental rights. Okay, fundamental rights. Next, before January 1, 2023, so there were some ordinary laws. So let us assume some ordinary law or some law, or I will call it as law 1. Okay, law 1. So during before emergency itself, some law has been brought. So after June 30, 2023, that is in the month of July, I cannot challenge this law in court. I cannot challenge the law which has been brought during emergency in the court, but I can challenge this law. In the court. Okay, in the court. So this much, if you understand, it will be sufficient. So laws related with emergency only are protected. Others can be challenged. So other laws can be challenged. The laws which are brought during emergency, they cannot be challenged, but the other laws can be challenged in the court. Important. Next, we already discussed. Just we shall again revisit with the help of distinction, or trying to find the differences. So article number 358. So it is confined to article number 19, suspension of article number 19. Whereas article number 359, all other fundamental rights. Okay, all other fundamental rights which are mentioned in the President's order. So here suspension of article number 19 is automatic, whereas it is not automatic in case of other fundamental rights. So president is empowered to what? Suspend enforcement of specified fundamental rights. So he can mention which all fundamental rights are suspended. Next, article number 19 can be suspended only during external emergency, whereas other articles except article number 20 and 21 can be suspended both during external emergency as well as internal emergency. And article number 19 will be suspended for the entire duration from the day the emergency has been declared until the day the emergency ceases to operate. Whereas in case of the suspension of other fundamental rights, President explicitly mentions for how many days it will be suspended, okay, for specified period. Next, suspension of article number 19 extends to the entire country, whereas here in the president's order we can mention to what part of the country it extends. So either it may be entire India or part of India. Next, here article number 19, it is completely suspended, but here when it comes to other provisions, so article number 20 and 21, they cannot be suspended. So we already seen law or executive action inconsistent with article number 19, they cannot be challenged. Okay. Similarly, law or executive action inconsistent with fundamental rights under president's order, they cannot be challenged in court. Next, similarity between 358 and 59. So they provide immunity from challenge only laws related to emergency and executive action taken under it. So as we have seen just with an example, so the laws which were made during emergency, so such laws cannot be challenged in the court. But laws which were made during ordinary time, during normal time, such laws can be challenged in the court of law. And this is common between both article number 358 and 359. The next important point to note here is whether in the history ever we have declared a national emergency. Yes, we have declared emergency 3 times. In 1962 during war with China, during 1971 when we were involved in liberating Bangladesh, and in 1975. So the first 2 were based on what? External factors. The third one was based on what? Internal factor. Okay, internal factor. So here in this context we also need to remember the name of this commission, Shah Commission. So based upon the recommendations of the Shah Commission, we brought what? 44th amendment in 1978, and this 44th amendment has introduced many changes to what? Emergency provisions. So in this class we discussed about the effect of emergency on center-state relations and on fundamental rights. So in the next class we will resume back with the what? President's rule. What is President's rule and what kind of impact it will have, and the consequences, everything. So similarly, for the subsequent updates, subscribe to our channel and hit on the bell icon. Thank you.